Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's time for another Weird Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about a house that I used to live in. It was a big two-story house, about 2,100 square feet, I guess. It was 105 years old, so it's seen a lot of history, a lot of time in there. And there were some strange things that happened there. What I'm going to talk to you about today are some things where objects tend to move all by themselves. I know the last video we talked about the boots moved in the boot rack all by themselves. So that was an example last week. Today we're going to talk about some other things, and there's quite a few, so I'm not going to get to all of them in this video, but we'll do some in follow-up videos down the road on some other Weird Wednesdays. But as I said, the house was 105 years old. When we looked at it to purchase it, it was very overgrown. It had vines. I mean, it looked like it was kind of in a state of disrepair. The price had dropped and dropped and dropped. It was an estate that was in a trustee for the bank, and the price had dropped considerably. But when I went to look at it, I fell in love with the place, as did my wife. You could just tell that the house had really good bones. It had been well built. I could kind of see through all the vines, all the disrepair there. I could just see that that house was a solid, sturdy house. My wife thought the same thing. And one of her comments was, she said, you know, this feels like home. This feels like a place we could be happy in. And we were. So to start off with, we had gone, I want to say we had gone back and forth and seen this house like 4 or 5 different times, just going through before we finally made the decision to purchase it. One of the first things was the realtor that had showed us various houses and all would go through and talk about the houses. When we got to this particular house, she refused to enter. She would stand on the front porch and say, you guys go on and, you know, take a look, see what you think. I'll be out here if you need me. She would not go in the house and go through it. She just said the house, she just got a weird vibe in there. We never really did. We never got a weird vibe. We went through it. Beautiful old place. It had like 9.5-foot ceilings downstairs, large rooms. It was just a really nice house. So we went through, checked everything, big, large walk-in closets, which is kind of unusual for a house that old, that normally they had just wardrobes in there, but these had really nice, large walk-in closets in all the 3 bedrooms upstairs. And there is a very large bathroom with an old clawfoot tub in it. Just a very neat house. So we opted to, we put in a bid on it, gave them a price for it. They rejected it, kicked back, we negotiated back again, and they accepted our offer. So we got it, I mean cheap, to say the least. A lot of cleanup, moving stuff around, getting everything out of there. It was full of old wallpaper, which we didn't like. We stripped all the wallpaper out of the house, just kind of put our touch on it, made the house what we wanted to see. So when we moved in, my wife went in to get utilities turned on, get the power change over in our name, get the water and sewer for the city, doing that, the gas service to it, you know, have that done. So getting all the utilities, everything, change of address at the post office. And one of the things that my wife remarked, she was the one that was doing that because I was working, is that she would go meet with these various utilities to get stuff done. She said one of the very first comments from every single one of those entities was, oh, you bought that house. So weren't real sure what that was all about. And she asked them, and they're like, oh, just, yeah, that's, that house. So, okay. We weren't quite sure what to expect. We moved in, and there's some strange things right off the bat, which I will cover them in some other videos. I'm not going to get into that right now because today I just want to talk about things moving in the house. Like I said, we've already talked about the boots moving off the boot rack last week. That's one of the things. I personally don't think those boots had anything to do with the house. I think they had something more to do with something being attached to the boots, because I had numerous other pairs of boots on that boot rack that never had an issue. It was only one particular pair of boots that I bought from a yard sale. Seemed to have some kind of a weird vibe, weird issue to them. So one of the things, and like I said, there was quite a few incidents of things moving. I'll go over some of them. One in particular that comes to mind is my wife was cooking spaghetti to have for dinner one evening. Remembered, oh my gosh, one of our sons was over at the high school, had wrestling practice. She said, oh, I've got to go pick him up. So she left, went to get it, took the other kids with her, went to get it, and realized, and then she got hung up in traffic at high school. It was a lot longer than she thought. And she realized, oh my gosh, I have left the pot of spaghetti and the sauce on the stove. It's going to be ruined by the time I get home. I hope there's not a problem. So she finally gets back home, and I want to say it was like 45 minutes later, something like that. And she rushes into the kitchen only to find that the spaghetti and the sauce was fine. It was perfectly done. It had been moved off of the hot burners where they were, and the stove had been turned off. So something or someone had went there, moved everything, and let it finish cooking out, and moved it, and then turned the stove off at the time. She said, I know I didn't do that. I left in such a rush, and it hit me, oh my gosh, I've left that on. She came home, everything was fine, it had been moved, stove turned off. Okay, so one thing, weird. Could she have moved it and forgot? Yes, that's possible. Maybe she did move the stuff off of there. She swears she did not. That she thought she was going to come home to just a mess. She was hoping that there would not be some kind of fire. I mean, it scared her to death. She came home, everything was fine. Okay, so that was one example. There was upstairs, and I'm going to have a picture of it in this video. I had built years ago a little wall. It's set up against a wall, a little three-legged, like a curio table, just a little trinket table that we had in the end of our hallway, in the upstairs hallway, between two bedrooms. Where the hall went down, there was a bedroom on either side of it where the doors would go in, and I had this table sitting right on that end wall of that hall. It had various little trinkets on it. At one point, my wife had a picture of her grandmother sitting on that curio table. And she went up one day to get something out of the bedroom. She walked up and went in the bedroom and saw something laying in the bed, in the middle of the bed. She went over, what is this? Picked it up and looked at it, and it was the picture of her grandmother that always sat on that end table in the hallway. And she's like, how did this get here? It moved by itself from that table and was laying face down in the middle of our queen size bed. freaked her out to the point that she moved the picture downstairs. She wouldn't put it back up on that little table anymore. Well, on the table, and I'm going to show you again, I have pictures of that. One of the things, he had this little guy, this old salt, like the Gorton's fisherman. It's a little wooden carving that somebody had done, was sitting on there, along with a picture of me in this ornate frame of the very first deer that I'd gotten with my bow when I was archery hunting, bow hunting for deer. So these things were sitting on that table as well. I went up one day, I was by myself, I was the only one in the house. My wife and kids were gone to some school function or something. They were not home. I was there alone. I needed something out of the bedroom. So I came out, went up the stairs, turned, went down the hallway towards our door, and I was looking right straight at that curio table. And I noticed that this picture and this little old salt guy were backwards, were turned around facing like this as I was looking at it, instead of being like this, like they should have been. They were just turned around backwards. Well, it startled me at first. I thought, well, that's odd. But then I thought, okay, rational explanation. Someone was dusting and picked them up, dusted, moved it, and just put them down and just put them down that way. Finished up, that's had to be what happened. Makes perfect sense. So that's what I went with. So I just picked them up, turned them back around like they should be, put them back on there, went, got whatever I needed from the bedroom, went back downstairs, again, all alone in the house. About 5 minutes later, I realized I needed something else from the bedroom I'd forgotten to get the first time. So it was 5 minutes or less, almost immediate. I went back upstairs, turned to go down the hall, was looking at that table again, getting ready to go to the bedroom, and these things were turned around backwards again on that table after I had fixed them just being up there the first time. So, okay, that's just bizarre, and I could not come up with any rational explanation at that point. Like, I know how they were, I know how I fixed them. I come back up and they're the same exact way that I found them the first time. I didn't dust. I didn't know what was going on with it. I just know that it was very weird that these things had done that all by themselves. That was, to my knowledge, and I'd turn them, put them back straight again, and I never saw that issue occur again. It was just that one day, that one time, when that went on. Just very strange. There wasn't wind. Wind currents are not going to flip them around. This is a very heavy frame, actually. It's pretty substantial. And it sat there real well. Nothing moved. I tried wiggling the table. I thought, well, maybe, if they were doing fracking or something and we had a little bit of seismic movement, maybe. So I tried just shaking the table. They didn't move. Nothing moved on it. So I don't know what caused it to happen, but it did. And I just found it totally weird. Still don't have a rational explanation for what it was. I don't know. All I know is that it happened. I thought it was very freaky at the time, still do. Since I've moved, I've had these things. They've stayed wherever I put them. Nothing has moved again. I'm no longer in that house. I'm in a different house now. But have not seen any untoward behavior out of these two items ever since then. So who knows? You guys tell me. So if you like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe to the channel. share it with your friends. Put something in the comments if you've had anything weird happen to you. I'd love to read about it and see what we can do. Maybe it's something that we could share on Weird Wednesdays if you want. So let me know, and keep looking up, keep looking around. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.